Yo, what's up? It's your boy E.T. Welcome to another edition of Mass Impact, the educational podcast. Now, look, the reason why I started this, I truly believe that education is the way to close the gap, the wealth gap, the digital divide gap, the opportunity gap. Look, the American dream gap. Can I be honest? Everybody's not experiencing the American dream in the way it's supposed to be experienced. So the reason why we started the Mass Impact, the educational podcast, is to close that gap. Now look, mass is simple. It means motivate, actionable steps, which means what? We're going to give you strategies every week. So we're not just going to motivate you and inspire you, which is important, but we're going to give you actionable steps. And look, this is a support system, y'all. Thus Mass. It's your boy E.T. Now you know. Let's go.
Oh, what up? What up? What's up? It's your boy E.T. Hey, man, super excited. It's the summertime, you know, and if we've ever needed educators to educate before, this is the time. You know, I have a semi-famous video, When You Want to Succeed as Bad as You Want to Breathe. And in that video, I talk about preseason, right? And I talk about the importance of preseason, right? Working during preseason to outperform everybody in the regular season, okay? And so it's preseason, y'all. This is preseason. So as educators, we have an opportunity to get an advantage, you know, on our students. And I'm gonna talk about that a little bit more. But I just wanted to say the reason why I'm so pumped up. I'm in the Detroit public school system. I'm on the east side. I'm on the west side. I'm at Michigan State. I'm in Chicago. Like, yo, this is the opportunity. This is the opportunity of a lifetime. This is preseason. I get to go at them. I don't have to fight with instructional time. You know, I don't have to fight with testing. Yeah. I don't have to do any of that. It's just preseason. I get to go in and just go in. And be super innovative and creative. And so the reason why you see me so pumped up is because I'm motivated by the opportunity. And one of the things I want you guys to do is learn how to allow whatever season we're in to motivate you. You ought to get excited about the opportunities that's ahead of us. So motivation is what we do here. All right. Now, we're definitely motivating, but there are actionable items. You know, we're using a playbook for our babies and walking them through what they need to do in the summer to be successful. And then finally, the support system. You know, while Katie is back in Michigan running something, it's still support. AE, here's the books. You know, I'm writing letters. I'm making sure that everything is structured, organized. You know, I've got training there with me, you know, helping support. I've even got one guy who's like, yo, E, I'm willing to pick you up from Lance and bring you to Detroit and drive you back just so that, you know, you can have and use all your energy for the work that you do. You know, so it's all about a support system, y'all. That's why we call this Mass Impact, the motivation, the actionable items, the support system. And do us a favor. I forget every week, but please, if you need support, email us. Katie, tell them where can they contact us?
Yeah, we'll put a link in the show notes from now on so they can find us. Yep, you got it.
Yeah, please. We want to make sure, you know, especially with the book coming out, I know some of you are going to want to get it in your schools. You know, I had a teacher call me from Milwaukee, a principal. She called, when can we? I said September 13th. She said, no. No, we need them before school starts. I need them before teach. I was like, yo, let me work on it. You know what I'm saying? I'm not the guy that says there's no way. I'm Mr. It's past possible. And so excited to be with you guys today. This is some exciting times. Remember, Winston Churchill said, never let a good crisis go to waste. Never let a good crisis go to waste. And there are multiple crises around us. Yeah. Just got to pick our spot. So Katie, what are we talking about today?
Yeah, it's still summer, so we're going to keep digging into that topic of summer impact. So how do we make summer impact as professionals, community members, parents, teachers? And then what are we doing? You just said it in the preseason to make sure that we are ready when it's season time, when we get back in the game in the fall. What are we doing right now to take care of ourselves, to be ready to take care of our babies when the school year rolls back around?
Yeah. Let me start here. Matter of fact, I think I I can show you guys, but I'm working on my Spanish. This is a TV series, a sitcom, right? And in the sitcom, of course, the sitcom is, in Espanol, but they just make it fun. So it's a guy named Sam, de Americano, from America. He lives in Spain, Vida Espanol. And as I'm watching, kids, I want y'all to catch that first. In the summer, you have an opportunity to learn whatever you want to learn. So I'll make sure you catch that. So ET is still learning, right? So I printed out the script. So unbelievable. So of course it's a sitcom. It's on YouTube. I'm watching the closed caption, but I'm like, man, it's going a little too fast. I want to be able to catch every single word, right? So I'm flipping through YouTube and I hit a little button and it says full script, right? And I print the full script out. It's probably 18, 20 pages, right? And I take each line and make sure that if I don't know what the line means, that I physically write down what the phrase means. Because sometimes in Spanish, it's a phrase. It's not, like singular words, right? That make the meaning. It's a phrase that makes the meaning. And so I'm sitting down, walking through it. Man, it must have taken me about 4 hours to go through this lengthy script and make sure I wrote every phrase or word down, right? But listen to me, young people. I get an opportunity during the summer months to learn at my own pace and learn my own topic. And the pace is so important, right? So when we talk about what can we do for ourselves this summer, like you can work at your own pace. And you know what's crazy? If you work at your own pace and push yourself, you can actually come back to school the next semester and be at a much faster pace, right? Now, that's where I struggled at a lot of times in school when people don't talk about that. It wasn't just the volume of work. It was the speed of the work, right? And I had some real challenges academically when I was younger. And I realized that the way you deal with those challenges is not quitting, giving up, or giving in, or not even seeing yourself as inferior. What you do is you start before everybody else starts. Like, that's the trick, right? So some of my friends, it would take them a week to write a paper, but it might take me 3 to 4 weeks to write the paper, right? It doesn't matter. And so what I want you to realize in the summer is that you're on your own pace. And so my thing was, okay, I want to write every word down in the script. All right, I want to go back through the series, right, with the script and listening to it, like no watching, just in my ear, just listening to the script, following along, right? And then last night, just went to sleep with the show on, just left the headphones on, went to sleep. Guys, it's so much fun. Why? Because I get to be my own teacher. Right, and I'm telling you, I know how you feel, okay? I got multiple degrees, and I'm going to tell you, I didn't necessarily care for every experience with every professor. Let me just say that to you, right? I much prefer learning on my own, at my own pace, with what I want to learn. And so before I pass the mic, I just want y'all to get that. A lot of you don't like some of your teachers, some of you don't like your students because they do pose a pace challenge. Right? It's being real. They pose a pace challenge. And for you, it's difficult, because you're trying to move the class along.
Yeah.
Well, what I would say to you is, teach them autonomy. Teach them how to study on their own and teach them pace, right? Mm-hmm. So, for instance, when I, as a runner, a good friend of mine, I don't know if it was age, but I lost during like COVID. I lost like almost 2.2 speed. So like, let's say I could normally run at like 7. I was like up at 5. Like, well, what happened? And my guy was like, oh, E, here's all you got to do. When you run occasionally, if you're at 5, just push 5.1. Don't do 5.3, just do 5.1, right? A week later, hit 5.2. He was like, yo, just slowly build yourself up. So teachers, you can help your students by studying and keeping a clock and notice the time that they spend studying or reading, right? Like really study there. Like when we run, we kind of check, our pulse. We've got the little hookup on. We like, how fast am I going? What's my heart rate? There is a heart rate of learning, right? There's a speed for learning. And you can teach them, all right, how long does it normally take you? Okay, good. So if it took you 30 minutes to read 10 pages, okay, on the next one, try to do 10 pages in 29 minutes. And then in 28 minutes, and then in 27. So they can pick their speed up in the summer. So when they come back to school, their learning is accelerated a little bit. So that's one of my tips as a struggling, people say a starving artist, as a struggling student, who wanted to catch up, and a teacher that worked with students that were academically troubled, right? I found some tricks and trades to, actually help them accelerate that learning process. So that's my little trick.
I love it.
Yep. Sam, talk to us.
You know what? So I was having a conversation the other day with a teacher, and they were telling me, I was so ready for the school year to end. It was such a crazy, stressful year. I was just so ready for summertime that I just shut my laptop down and I was out, the day that school ended. And so, I noticed on social media that they were doing some reflection, like putting up some student surveys and like calling out some of the things from the year. And so I had a conversation with her, and she was just like, for me personally, I just need to shut my computer down for a few weeks. I need to take care of myself. And now I'm getting into the mode where I'm going back through the student surveys. I'm reflecting on the year. So I'm not in a sprint, right? Like a few days before, but I'm slowly starting to get my mind back to just like reflecting on the year. And so I think, just something that I'm thinking about now is, teachers, you may have taken the first month or a few weeks, depending on when, you finish the school year for some self-care. And now you might start to be thinking about like, okay, the school year, maybe I have a month and a half. And so now could be a great time to start that reflection, right? Of just what went well last year, what teaching strategies went well, what parent communication went well, and what didn't go well. What were my students saying in my end of the year, survey results? So I still have some time left here to think or go learn, like you just said, E. In preparation for the school year. So I really loved reading her reflections, though, from the students and the different things that they were saying. But she was just like, now is the time that I'm mentally there to be able to prep and reflect in those ways.
I love it.
Hey, I'm getting the opportunity to work with teachers this summer, which I'm super excited about because I have literacy camps going. So I'm doing other things. I've got a staff that's running camp, and I get to check in with them a little bit each morning this first week. And one thing that we do before camp begins each day is we read a parent testimonial from previous camps. And we do that because I want teachers to remember their why. Why are you here? Because teachers, just like you said, Sam, they're tired, and they're, especially those of them that are working this summer, and it's hot, the days are long, kids are wild kind of in the summertime. And so I want them to remember, why are you here every day? So we start the day before the kids get there by reading a parent testimonial from the year before. And it's so fun to hear the parents say things like, my child loves reading and they never have before. And when we read those every morning, I can just see the teachers, like they stand a little taller and they light up, they're like, oh, okay. Yeah, that's why I'm here. Okay. I'm about to do this today, whereas before they might come in a little tired. So figuring out those routines that work for you, whether you're working in the summertime or you're going to try those routines out and get them ready for the fall. That's one thing, something that's going to connect you to the why. And then for us, we always do a, end of the day wrap up too, where we talk about what went well today and what do we want to level up for tomorrow. So 2 quick questions at the end of the day. We do that as a team. So when you can do that with a support system, that's amazing. If you don't, we know everybody doesn't have that in your building maybe, and that's okay. Maybe it's a quick little journal for you, end of the day, ending the routine or ending your day with routine of like, what went well today? What do I need to level up for tomorrow? What do I want to change for tomorrow or adjust? And practicing those routines out in the summer in whatever way that you can, whether you're working at a literacy camp or helping out at church VBS or, whatever you're doing, maybe it's just routines at home, but then you get those in place so that in the fall, you have some of those things ready to go for your school year that are really going to be beneficial every day.
I love it. I love it. Now, this is off topic, but it's the summer, right? So we're talking about the summer. I remember as a kid in Chicago, on the corner house, I won't give the address, but on the corner house, South Side, like in the late 70s, I don't know what happened, but it was this frenzy of house music, right? It's just house music just took over. And we would be literally, my boy would have his DJ equipment on the porch and we'd be outside. It was like a party on the corner. And what made me think about it was Katie's shirt. That was the first, I saw her shirt and it was like, that's the song, A-E-A-E-I-O-U. And sometimes why? So I saw her shirt and was like, oh man. She took me back to the house music days. It went from house to techno to something else. I think it's finally back to house, at this point. And then of course, you guys know, I do work with Disclosure. So Disclosure does the house music, but they take samples of my different stuff. I've gone in the studio and take that and made that into house. So I just saw the shirt, was like, I hadn't seen that in a while. All right, back to the podcast. So Vondale is with us. Vondale, talk to us.
Can y'all hear me? Can y'all hear me? Test real quick.
We can, yes.
Okay, all right, bet. So I want to get into like the old educational adage, and some of you may be familiar with this concept. It's scaffolding. So, in Chicago, we have a lot of buildings and you have to scaffold, especially when you have people walking underneath the building. And over time, you take one off, take more off, and it builds a level of independency within students. So we got to scaffold these lessons and we have to find new ways to add skills in so that they not as dependent upon us. And so ET talked about, he was running at a 5.7. Throughout the pandemic, should be at a 7, right? So scaffold a little bit up, go from 5.0 to 5.1, 5.2. And over time, the more you scaffold the lesson, the less they're going to need you as a teacher. And that's really what we want. We want independent learners, independent thinkers, so that when they leave us, they know how to research on their own. They know how to pick up a book that they like and read on their own. And if they don't have the answers, they know how to advocate and find those solutions. So scaffolding is really, really, really important. And I know with all of the zone proximal development and all of these philosophies around multiple intelligence, there's just so much information out there and it changes over time. But it's still coming back to how do I meet and exceed the needs of my students? And what type of toolkit do I have available to access to make sure that I'm helping my students, watch this, become independent thinkers is really, really important.
And here's my thing. If you aren't an independent thinker, then you're really not a thinker. And I try to share with both teachers and students. If you don't learn how to independently think, doesn't make you a bad human being, but your life will look different. I made a statement. I had an opportunity to work with a company. It's a program, RSM, Excellence Academy. And it's a firm, one of the largest firms, in America. And they literally put a program together for 161 of the best and brightest African Americans from Yale, Harvard, Princeton, Clark, Atlanta, Morehouse, Howard. Right? So I'm in the room with these kids, other institutions as well. They had little spurts of, people from representing them. But I'm in the room with some of the best minds in the world, and they're explaining to the kids, if you can finish this program in 2 years, you automatically get a 6-figure, earning career, right? And so I'm in the room, and the thing I'm sharing with them, and again, not to be disrespectful, but I was like, I had a sister who, actually both of my sisters, but my sister right up under me was such a brilliant mind, that she got accepted into Michigan in the engineering program. Then my other sister, it was similar, but she decided to go to Lake Forest, which is a university in Illinois, right outside of Chicago, Illinois. But what I explain is I think to some extent, me not necessarily being as naturally intelligent forced me to be a critical thinker, and forced me to be a strategic thinker, right? And so there's some things that I've been able to accomplish, even though my academic start was not, on their level, because for them, they started, and when they finished college, like they finished, like it was, the mindset was like, yo, we start, we finish, right? Which is nothing wrong with that. But for me, I was taught, you're struggling as a thinker, so you need to be an independent thinker. Whereas sometimes when you're already intelligent, people assume that you are independent, and it's not the truth. What I told some of the kids in that building was that, like, you are naturally gifted, but it doesn't mean because you're naturally gifted and things come to you easy that you're actually really doing some deep thinking. It's just you have a phenomenal skill set, right? And so the world looks different to people who think independently versus people, who don't think independent. And you can be intelligent, but that does not mean that you're necessarily tapping into the independent thinking, which means what? You start asking yourself, and this may seem crazy simple, students to learn yourself, teachers to teach the students. But remember this phrase, then what? Right? And I think I learned it from, I don't know if it was Jeezy, I don't know which artist it was, but he would say, then what? I went to my auntie's house, then what? Then we, what I'm saying? He kept saying, then what? And I was like, yo, that's a phenomenal phrase, because it helps you to stay fluid. It's like, okay, you got a GED, then what? Okay, you get a 4-year degree. Okay, then what? Okay, you get a master's degree. Okay, then what? Okay, you get a PhD. Then what? You get certified in the DIS, the values. Okay, then what? Okay, then I publish a book. Okay, then what? We start a foundation to help kids to learn. Okay, then what? Okay, we start a church. Okay, then what? I
love it.
When you're a critical thinker, it just gives you an opportunity to have more control of your life. And I think at the end of the day, if we can show students the difference between getting a degree or finishing school for a grade, right? And again, there's nothing wrong with that. It's like, hey, there are things that you can achieve in school and you want to achieve those things. But if we can teach them that the freedom that you seek cannot be separated from the learning that you do. Like you can't separate the two. If you want to be if you want to be economically sound, and you want to be able to move as you want to move, do what you want to do. And I'm not suggesting, people are millionaire, multimillionaire, billionaire. Okay, if that's what you want, cool. But there's a lot of responsibility with making a bunch of money. There's a whole lot of responsibility with that. But whatever freedom looks like for you, it is going to be literally impossible to experience that if you're not an independent thinker. So I'm just saying, the more freedom you want, the more happiness and enjoyment and satisfaction you want on this side of the earth, you must see the correlation between that and you getting educated. Didn't just say degrees,
right?
But you're getting educated.
Yeah, I'm wondering if you think that is the same as like independent worker, like hard working too. Like when you mentioned maybe being naturally gifted or like feeling like you had to work at it. So not just thinking independently, but like being self-motivated to work hard too. I feel like maybe they go hand in hand.
Oh, no question.
I would often tell my students that struggled, like I'll always be honest with them. Like I did get really good grades. I didn't have this story where I struggled in school and such, but I worked really hard for them. I didn't like just get them easily. And I'd always tell them this one story about in college. I had a geology class that I just had to take, but I'm not sorry, Sam. I don't really like science very much. Sam loves science over there. But I just didn't. But I had to take this geology class in college. And I spent one Saturday, 7 hours in the geology lab to memorize all these rocks. And I nailed the test the next day. Now, if you ask me today, I don't know the rocks. So I'm sorry, I lost it. But in order to get the grade that I wanted so that I could get that class out of the way, to get the degree that I wanted, to get to the future that I wanted, I spent 7 hours in the geology lab. So I just use that example to share with my students that like sometimes you have to jump through the hoops maybe to work really hard on the thing maybe you don't love it, but so that you can get to where you want to be. And so I think sometimes that's like a gift of our students that maybe don't feel gifted, and to remind them of that like, hey, you are going to learn not only to be an independent thinker, but a hard worker. And that is going to be a gift the rest of your life, that you know how to get things done and work hard through anything, even if it maybe doesn't come naturally to you. So as teachers, I think that's nice to remember about our kids. That might be, I don't remember your words, but you said like messing up our pace, right? I thought that was interesting because I've never like heard that said before, but that is why those kids get, I'm just going to say it, sometimes like under our skin as educators, right? Like because our pace is getting messed up. We're trying to get things done. But those kids, it's good to remember how wonderful they are and to remind them of that, because they're learning to be independent thinkers and hard workers.
And as educators, we're getting pushed, like there are demands that are being placed on us by the federal government, by the state, by the local, by our building. And so we have, this pace issue because they're like, hey, come on. But what we have to remember is a lot of the federal, state, local legislation is absent of what our babies need. And so it is our job to be strategic enough to kind of know, okay, they're putting these demands on me, but this is where the demands have to stop, because I'm not going to be able to fulfill my responsibilities as an educator if I do these things. So it's a couple of demands that you could probably institute in the classroom. And depending on who your students are, some more than others. But then you got to know that group where it's like, okay, they can't keep up. And so we create another league. We create the G League. You know what I'm saying? We got the NBA, we got the G League. And why do we have the G League? Well, in baseball, we got AAA, AA. We don't just have the majors, we have the minors. And a lot of people who once played in the minors are not playing in the majors. And there are a lot of kids who played in the G League who are playing, in the NBA, and some of them played in this year in the finals, and won a championship, So we can't get rid of our students because they don't naturally come out ready for the NBA. We got a summer league. The educational system needs to look at, these models, basketball, football. They literally have a summer league.
That is so good.
And that summer league is for the development of players who we believe can eventually play at the highest level. So we don't get rid of them because they don't come out at that pace. We create other opportunities for them to develop and grow, and then we got preseason. Then there are other, summer leagues outside of the big one, then there's the G League. It's just sad that education is so critical and it's so needed. Like, I'm not even talking about career. Like, a lot of people think, you're talking about career. I'm not even talking about career. I'm talking about the ability to just experience life the way I'm experiencing it, because like, I know how to use my brain. My brain, I know how to use it. Like, I understand life in the context of critical thinking, of strategizing, and it's just things that I'm able to accomplish as a result of it. It's like, even this morning, I forgot that I scheduled a meeting, but then I need to get to the church to do some things. And so in my brain, I have to go, okay, let's prioritize. Which one is, that's from school. That's from like writing a paper and brainstorming and organizing. And so I think the challenge is we teach, okay, brainstorm for a grade. And I promise y'all, I've never been motivated by an A or B or like a 4.0 or 3.5. That has never motivated me. But I remember the first like real academic challenge. I remember a professor saying to me, you need to finish. And I was like, oh, okay, I need to finish. Like, nobody in my family's ever graduated from college. Like, okay, I need to finish. Like, that's your world. Like, in my world, people go get a job. Like, nobody's doing college. So when he said finish, in the beginning, like, there was no context for me. But then he said, no. You don't need to finish to graduate and walk across the stage. You need to finish because if you don't, you're going to be just like your daddy. I was like, what? I don't know my father and you don't know him either. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, bro, what are you talking about? Like, you don't know my father? I don't know my father. So I know you don't know who he is. And he was like, exactly. That's why you don't know him, because he didn't follow through. He didn't finish anything. And you have an opportunity to finish something in your life. Your mom didn't get to go to college because she got pregnant with you. Your father dropped out. Like, yo, don't you get it? You have an opportunity to like, and again, no disrespect, but there are NBA players who are phenomenal, but because they didn't get that championship ring, it makes a difference, you know? And he was like, yo, you got a chance to like get that championship ring, to complete something major that most people in the world will never do. And it's going to change you. And so he spoke to my life and brought academics in like contextually for me. And it was like, oh, no question. I definitely don't want to be like my real father. You know, at that time, I was definitely on, like, yo, I'm not going to be like my man. Okay, so see, he was like, well, yes, you are. You could say you're not going to be like somebody, but if you're doing what they're doing, you're going to be like them. You dropped out like he dropped out, right? You got your GED, but what difference does it make if you stop at a GED? It was like, you shouldn't even got a GED if that's the degree you're gonna have for the rest of your life. Like, it didn't even make sense for you to get it. It's not a game changer. It's not about to do anything for you, but have you at McDonald's. Like, that's it. And I was like, when I tell y'all, he lit a fire up under the kid. He lit a fire. I was like, yep, we about to go finish this boy. And so I finished it. And to his point, when I walked across that stage, it was a sense of accomplishment that was like, yo, I did it. And with that accomplishment came confidence. Mm-hmm. You know, it was a little confidence, like, yo, I can finish. So to your point, Katie, I started realizing you can finish. You know, you can finish in your marriage. You can't finish as a father. You can't finish as a pastor. You can't finish as a friend. And one of the things, you know, that, you know, CJ and I talk about all the time is like, okay, we're not just tripping on what we do as a career. We're tripping on the fact that we've been together since 2006 and nothing has separated us. And it's a lot of tandems that came together that they can't say that. Basketball, football, people got into it. And so for me, my claim of fame is finishing because I finished college. And then finally, the same professor tricked me and was like, man, you finished college, but it took you 12 years to get a 4-year degree. It's like, I ain't trying to be funny, but you finally learn how to learn. I wouldn't stop now. Like, it wouldn't even make sense. You just learn how to learn. He's like, you need to go get your master's to prove to yourself that you can start some on time and finish on time. And I literally went and got my master's degree to start on time and to finish on time. You know, like, that was my thing. Like, all right, I'm about to start. All right, and in 2 years, I'm going to have this joker. And then once I did that, everybody was like, okay, man, you killing it now, E. You got to go get that Ph.D. And I'm like, I've been tricked. You know what I'm saying? Like, they physically tricked me. But what they did for me was say, master's is good, but as an African-American male in the educational system, there's still going to be barriers to you getting to the top. Like, if you want to get to the top at Michigan State and you look at the highest African-American male at the institution, right? Dr. June, he was like the only African-American male, right? And everybody else was either a white female or a white male. And he was like, yo, E, if you want to bless these kids on this campus, you look at Dr. June and what he's doing, you can't do it without a PhD. So you got to go get your PhD. And so I was like, cool. And then I also knew in the back of my mind, I don't know how I figured it out, but I was like, yo, if I get a PhD, I'd never have to wear a suit again. You know what I'm saying? I was like, I'll never have to wear a shirt and tie again if I want to. So I was like, all right, let's go get that PhD. So, so to the young people that are listening, put some respect on it. Like, put some respect on school, put some respect on education. And to my teachers, put some respect on their lives and help them to understand that this degree is going to help them to live a life that they can't live without the, 4-year, a high school diploma, GED, trade, whatever. I don't care what it is. Yeah. But help them to put some respect on education, because in a lot of our communities, there's no respect on education. It's like an option, and really, education is not the option that we told kids it is. It's not an option. So, yeah, put some respect on it. You know what I'm saying? Birdman, put some respect on it.
I hope teachers just heard you talk about all those examples. I just kept thinking you were giving examples of teachers that spoke things into your life that changed your life forever.
Yeah.
I mean, and think about the impact that you are making on the world. All of that goes back. I'm not trying to take credit away from you, E, but it goes back to those teachers who spoke into you, right? That's all I keep thinking is like, teachers, are you hearing this? Like, some teacher said to him these things, and look at what he has accomplished and is doing to change the world. And that's the kind of power that your job has, educators. If you just do that, say that one thing to that one kid, it could change their life forever. And it could literally change the world depending on what kind of impact they move forward to make. So and that's what I just took from all of those things you just shared with us, E, is like, wow, how amazingly powerful to think about what you've accomplished because of the words that a teacher said to you. So thanks for sharing that.
No problem. No problem. All right. We're going to do our round robin. We've heard some great stuff today. Please take one thing Sam said, one thing Vondale said, one thing Katie said, and like literally sprinkle it on there like seasons. We went yesterday. The other day we went to Virtue, Vondale in Hyde Park, right? They had some seasoning on that stuff. Then we went to Abba, which is downtown, a Mediterranean spot. Oh, the seasonings was unbelievable. But watch this. 2 different cuisines, but both fire. So we're not suggesting that you have to be us, but put some season on your teaching. You know what I'm saying? Put some flavor in your teaching. Like make me want to get up, get dressed, and come sit at, I gave these people a tip. The food was so good. I gave them a nice tip. May your students want to give you a tip when they finish with class. When they leave class, may they want to bring you flowers and cards and candy, So for those of you who feel like your teaching might be bland, well, that's what we're here for. We here to show you what to do and how to do it. Well, I'm not from that world. Okay, it's okay. We're going to show you what to do because we're not able to do it because we're superhuman. We're able to do it because we connect, right? We're going to show you how to connect. That's all you have to do is connect with humans. You don't have to come from where they come from. You don't have to have their lived experience. I don't know if there's any human that have the exact same lived experience, but when you connect with people, it's the game changer. And so that's what we're trying to help you to do. We're trying to show you how to connect with students and push them. So, Vondale, if you don't mind, I'm going to start with you. Give us our 60-second, how did my man do it?
Exactly. So, by the way, I ran into E.T., believe it or not. Out of all the people in Chicago, we keep going down Randolph and E.T., D, and Jada walking down the street. I get out the car. It was so crazy. What are the chances of that happening?
Yeah, right.
But the thing that I keep hearing, and it's just been in my spirit as I've been sitting here, is resist the temptation to have a fixed mindset. Resist the temptation to have a fixed mindset. You heard Sam talk about reflections earlier and the importance of it. And I'm sitting here thinking about how do we become independent? You got to have a growth mindset. We teach our students, we teach our educators to always resist the temptation to have a fixed mindset. Yeah, you have the degree. Yes, you got the job or the certification or license. What's next?
Yeah, I love it.
Then what, right? Then what?
I love it. Katie?
Sure. I would just challenge educators, like, what are you doing this summer to take care of you also, but also to grow so you're ready for the school year? So I have got a stack of books on my desk here. I'm always going to suggest that you spend some time reading in the summer. I love that you started talking about learning Spanish and how are you teaching yourself this summer. So grab a book, whether it's igniting a passion for reading or my favorite for the elementary teachers, reading with meaning. You can see mine's like all sticky notes and everything, right? Because find something that's going to inspire you. I have The Secret to Success on top because my high schoolers loved this. And teachers can also go grab some copies of your new book, right? Because it's coming out right at the beginning of the school year. Perfect timing. Like, start some book clubs in your building with your students. So UOU, they can get that anywhere, actually. Pre-order anywhere.
Thank you.
Right?
Yeah, no, wherever books are sold, but you just gave me an idea. I'm going to, I got it. Thank you. So
etinspires.com, they can find it there. But also it's like pre-order, Amazon, Barnes & Noble, anywhere you want. Let's grab some of those for your classroom and your students too.
Yeah. Good. Sam, take us out.
All right. So I'm just thinking about how, you were just sharing about the conversation with the professor and you're like, okay, cool. But what's the why behind what you're saying, right? I'm thinking about how Katie shared earlier, every morning for literacy camp, like, we're reading parent testimonies to remind ourselves of the why behind what we do. And so I think it's really important this summer, while you may be away from students, you may be away from school and your norms, to really continue to recenter yourself in your why. And even this summer, it could be easy just to not think about school at all, right? But what is that why behind putting some strategy behind learning, behind having a growth mindset like Vondale just shared? So really center yourself in your why this summer. Use it in your explanations when you're speaking with students or other staff members. But I encourage you to really center yourself in your why this summer.
Hey, you heard it from some of the best and brightest minds and teachers, educators in the country, right? So do yourself a favor. If you're not applying all of these principles, we suggest that you do so, man. We love y'all, man. We wish y'all the best. We're going to send it over to Coach B. And for us, do us a huge favor. By simply being your best, you automatically make mass impact. It's your boy E.T., Katie, Sam, Vondale. We'll see y'all next episode.
Welcome back to another episode of Mass Impact, the education podcast. Step on into the office and let's recap and review some of the most impactful points from today's broadcast. This episode was great because last time we talked a little bit about that summer slide and how we can reframe that in our minds to be more positive. Today we're talking about summer impact. How can we make an impact over the summer? Katie started us off by sharing about the literacy camp and how that was impacting kids in the summer and how she reminds her camp teachers, watch this is really deep. She reminds her camp teachers every morning of their why by reading them parent testimonials and getting them ready for the day by having them think about their impact. Think about what's happening there. You know that you make an impact. As a teacher, as an educator, you know that you are creating an impact, but sometimes it can be hard to see it. We get caught up in the day-to-day and we lose sight of the big picture of how important and impactful your job really is. Remind yourself of that. Even if you're not over an entire camp, a literacy camp of multiple teachers, even if you're just doing it for yourself, go back and read some of those letters that students have written you. Go back and read some of those testimonials from parents. Go back and remind yourself of how great you are and how important of a role you play. It's critical to maintaining that motivation over the long haul. Number 2, E talked to us about when his teacher spoke life into him and encouraged him to finish school, get a bachelor's, then a master's, then a Ph.D. We all know the story, right? 12 years to get a 4-year degree, then the master's, then the Ph.D. Now we know him as Dr. Eric Thomas. We've all heard the story, but that started from teachers pouring into him. He said that we reflect on the impact of those teachers who believed in E and how he is now changing the world, and they were a part of that journey, right? Without them, he never would have been able to get to the level that he's at now, and that's why he's able to impact so many people. So really, that impact started with those teachers, because without them, there is no ET. And without ET, there is no impact that we see today. There's not even this podcast without ET. So it all traces back to those teachers who are willing to invest and pour into a student and believe in that student more than that student believed in himself at the time. And now look at what's been built because of that. That impact can start with you. So Katie told us, never forget that your words matter to kids, the way that you support them this summer and the way that you support them always. You can change their lives and you can change the world through them. It's amazing to me how one small thing, a kid can take it and just run with it. And you might not even think that it's that important. You might not think that you're that deep. You might not think that you said anything that was that significant, but to them, it was at the right place, the right time. It came from the right person, you, and it changed their entire world. And when it changes their world, they might just go on and change the world. So never forget how important those words are to your students. Last but not least, Vondale spoke to us about the meaning of scaffolding, how we can continue to scaffold for independent learners and thinkers. Be creative and think outside the box this summer. Build that curriculum. Build that knowledge base, scaffold by scaffold, piece by piece, brick by brick, and it could become something truly amazing. You know, I was at this event earlier this week with my guy Mustafa. He works within ETA with Eric Thomas and the rest of the team. And we were staying at this hotel, and right across the street from the hotel was this gas station. And we said, you know what? We were thirsty. We had just eaten dinner. We were going to walk across the street and go grab some waters from this gas station, right? And we start walking across the street. We start to get closer and closer to the gas station, and we realize it's not the nicest looking place, not the nicest part of town. It looks a little run down, looks a little rough. And as we get closer, we kind of look at each other like, I don't know if I want to risk it, right? Now, here's what was interesting about it. As we got closer to the gas station, we saw another gas station in the distance, another convenience store that was in the distance, but we couldn't see that one from where we started. So watch this. We started from the hotel. We walked to this gas station. We didn't like what we saw here, but only once we got here could we see the way better convenience store that was off in the distance. What am I trying to tell you by that? We couldn't see what we really wanted until we made progress towards something that we didn't want. And so sometimes I know that the summer feels like that summer slide. We talked about this last episode. It feels like things aren't exactly going the way that you want it to as a teacher, as an educator. What I might try and convince you of here is that if you keep taking steps towards what you want, even if it doesn't look perfect, even if it isn't exactly what you're looking for, even if the results don't seem like they're coming quite the way that you want them to right now, keep taking steps toward that. And maybe once you get there, you'll see what you really want off in the distance. You'll be able to course correct. You'll be able to see the new path towards where you're really trying to lead yourself, your classroom, and every single student that you serve. So just keep going. Small steps, great distances. I heard a smart guy say that not too long ago. Hey, you're watching Mass Impact, the Education Podcast, and we'll see you on the next one.